Holyfield.
John.
And Ronnie.
Back for another video. Hi folks. So the video we're going to do today should be kind of interesting. John brought it up to me the other day when he saw a video on I don't know, was that YouTube or
that was on YouTube. Yeah.
YouTube about this the Oakland A's broadcaster. I think his name is Glenn Kuiper.
Yes.
It's something that happened to him, and that brought up the whole thing again about using the N-word and how some people get fired over it and how some people get away with saying it. So basically it's like the cancel, culture. Do you want to cancel somebody because they said it, or are you okay because they said it? So take it away, baby.
Oh, put all the stress on me.
Oh, go on. It was your idea for the video.
So basically we have a couple different people we're going to talk about tonight. Some that got to retain their jobs, others that didn't get to retain their job and were asked to leave. So who would you like to start off with tonight?
Well, let's start off with the Glenn Kuiper guy, because I saw the video when John first came up. I was sitting here in my office, and he came up and he said, yeah, it's this thing about the Oakland A's broadcaster, and he made a comment with another colleague saying that they went to, I think he was supposed to say they went to the Negro League Museum. And he says, yeah, we had a great day today. We went to the Negro League Museum.
We had a phenomenal day today. Negro League Museum and Arthur Bryant's Barbecue. Welcome back to Kauffman Stadium. I just want to, a little bit earlier in the show, I said something didn't come out quite the way I wanted it to. And I just wanted to apologize if it sounded different than I meant it to be said. And like I said, I just wanted to apologize for that.
And he said, he just rolled off and said it. And I said to John, I said, did he mean to say that? Because I was trying to figure out what the context was. I'm thinking, did he mean to say that? Or was he joking? Or did he mean to say it that way? He probably was supposed to say Negro, and of course that's what it was. It was the Negro League, and it just rolled off his tongue. He never realized that he said it, and the guy, his colleague, the host, never batted an eye. Like nobody even acknowledged it. And then when they came back off a commercial, they had to address it. He apologized, but they ended up firing him over it. So that brought up a good point that we always discuss. Should you say it? And if you say it, the N-word, should you get fired over it? And in this case, they fired him, but there are a lot of people that have said things on the air, whether it was the N-word or being homophobic or whatever, and they may or may not get fired over situations like that. So I'm thinking, what do you guys think? Because we're going to talk about a couple of them, but I personally think because this guy rattled it off so quick, people were quick to say, oh, well, he uses the word all the time, that's why he didn't think anything of it. That may be the case. I watched the video. If you ask me, I think it was a Freudian slip. Do I know if this man walks around all day saying the N-word? No. Do I think that he meant to do it? No. I really do think it was a Freudian slip. Bad for him, but you have to weigh. Should he have gotten fired over it? Did you ask his friends, or does he use that word constantly? And if he's using it, how do people feel about it? And do people know, the people that he worked with, did they know that he did it? Or maybe they're just like, he didn't mean to say it. Now, there are probably some of you out there saying, yeah, but people don't mean to say it, but that's how they are. I really don't know how this man is. I just saw the video and I'm thinking, ooh, Freudian slip, real bad. Sometimes you say things you don't mean to say, and yeah, there are repercussions behind it. But do I think maybe he should have gotten fired? I don't know. I don't know if the answer is that everybody gets fired over stuff like that. We've had this discussion before, John and I. We've talked about this in the videos. It's the weight that you give that word, and to me, I don't give it any weight. So does it bother me? No, but it's still very much in people's thoughts and minds that, yeah, that's a hateful word, you shouldn't use it. Well, then don't use it at all. Take it out of movies, take it out of everyday speak, take it out of recordings. If nobody says it, then people can't really get mad over it anymore. If that's how you're going to feel about it. But you can't pick and choose who you want to fire or cancel because they've said the word, or how they've said the word, or things like that. Now, John and I was just talking about before we started the video, we actually got into a heated debate over this, because my whole thing is, if you say it out of anger, then you probably mean that, and it's probably something that you do all the time. But if you don't, and it's just a slip, and then you like, oh God, I shouldn't have said that, that's a difference.
Right. And I think too, in this particular case, we're going to talk about a couple different individuals, but in this particular case, I'm going to side on the side, I don't think he should have been fired. I mean, we've had people in this country that kill people and come back and say it was an accident, and we let them off the hook. So to me, I just don't feel like he should have been fired in this particular incident. Did he say it probably outside of work? It rolled off his tongue. So Roddy seems to think that not necessarily, even if he did, to me, it all depends on the content, how he was saying it. If he was describing something and he used that word, or if he was out on a corner someplace and yelling it to someone who was black, different scenario. But like I said, to me, I think it's the content behind the word too. Like we did our N-word video, and we discussed it, and I described in our N-word video, and I used the word. Now how many views did that get? That got like 50-some thousand views.
It's got like 58,000 views.
And no one has ever come back to me and said, "Oh, do you know you said it?" Well, I said it because I was describing the video.
Context.
So it all depends, the content, how he was using it at the time. I have relatives, I have family members that have used that word, and I used to hear it, and I just felt, to me, it felt wrong. To me, it's not something that I would grasp onto and be like, oh, that's going to be one of my everyday words to go out and say. So it's like, to me, it's in, would you say, the context, how he said it. And where he was. Now, this is another thing too. If he's got family members, like me, your family members know who you are. But if he's got family members who said it, he's heard the word. So it could be, again, Ronnie said it's a Freudian slip. It's something that maybe he heard growing up, he heard from other family members, it's in his head. So when he said it, I think it's a mistake. And to me, I think nowadays, we put too much emphasis on just trying to just make everything. Now, would that be considered politically correct to fire him because he used that N-word?
Probably so. I mean, again, and we've discussed this, I think everybody knows the weight that word carries, and when people say it, what they're going after and what their initial thought is behind it, or what we feel their initial thought is behind it, is to hurt someone. Again, I say it's the power that you give the word. You take away the power, then it's no longer able to hurt you. We understand where it comes from. In this day and time, should we really still be talking about that word and the weight that carries? Probably not. But as long as there are people out there that think by saying that word it's going to affect someone, it's going to hurt someone, then people are going to continue to say it. People are going to continue to be hurt by it. That's just the way things are. Me, I choose, there's too much other stuff going on in this world that I'm going to let a word that somebody calls me or says, disrupt my whole world where I just can't get along. Again, I saw the video. You might think I'm silly, or you may be like, oh, but Ronnie, why you did that? I laughed because I thought, wow, he really said that. And it was so nonchalant about it. And I thought two things. Either he says that word a lot in his daily, that's his daily thing, he just says it a lot. Or, again, it was a Freudian slip. And he he didn't even realize it. So there's two ways you can look at it. He didn't realize it because he says it all the time, or he didn't realize it because it was just a slip of the tongue and he wasn't thinking about it until somebody says, hey, did you realize you said nigger? And then he's probably going, oh no, and that's why he came back and he, apologized for it. He still got fired. John says it was a politically correct thing to do. Probably so, because people don't want to go, people don't want to offend anyone these days, so everybody's walking around on eggs about what they say, what they do, how they act, and to a certain extent I think you should, but if you were raised the right way, you already know how to act. So
I don't know.
If you were raised like a hooligan, then I don't know, you're just out there acting up, you're just out there wilding out. But yeah, so I don't know this man, so I don't know. To me, I think it was a Freudian slip, just the way it came off. Me having a psychology background, I just looked at him and like, oh wow, you just bit your tongue. You probably shouldn't have said that. You don't even realize you said it. That's the way I'm looking at it. Maybe you should have gave him another chance. Maybe you should have asked him, hey, what were you thinking when you said that? Were you thinking? Maybe find out where his head was at. The only reason I think that they could have fired him is if he showed a history of that type of behavior. If that happens and you've shown a history of using that word and coming off with that type of behavior, then yeah, maybe you should be fired. But if this was a one-time deal and he just said it and everybody's looking like, damn, Glenn's not like that. We don't even know where that came from, then maybe you should have thought twice about maybe firing me. Maybe go and take some sensitivity training or something. I think a lot of companies and should benefit from that and have that. I've worked at a lot of companies where we had sensitivity training because people was just, again, wilding out and saying and doing anything they wanted to. And when you work in a company that's very diverse, you can't just say and do anything you want to. You have to keep people's feelings at bay and be careful about what you say, because somebody at some point is going to get offended by what you say and what you do. So a lot of companies should, try to put that in place, and I think a lot of people will benefit from it.
That's why I'm self-employed.
Yeah, well, we know about you. You do
I am not politically correct.
No, we all know that. I think we know that. So then I brought up a couple of other instances. So everybody remembers Michael Richards from Seinfeld. Kramer. And, everybody loves the Kramer character. Well, remember, I think it was maybe back in 2006 or something like that, he was on this stand-up show and he got heckled. And he got heckled so bad, this heckler really pushed his button so much so, and I believe it was a black guy because he was dropping the N-bomb all over the place. And then it came out. Now, here's the thing. You're doing a show, somebody is video or recording this show. And for you to say that, because I saw the video, and I think everybody did, because people started thinking of him differently after that. But he let this man get under his skin so much that he just said, N-word, 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 and just went crazy about the whole thing. And I'm like, you do realize that you are now flushing your career down the toilet. And then I guess he probably came back and apologized after that or whatever. But again, cancel culture, yeah, they canceled him. I don't know when the last time I heard Michael Richards doing anything. And it's a shame because it was such a lovable character that he played on TV. But the fact that, he let somebody in his audience, with him doing stand-up, get under his skin or say something that he felt that he had the right to call that guy the N-word, it just kept doing it like it was funny. And nobody thought that it was funny. So much so that they recorded the whole thing, and then next thing you know, he without a job. So, I mean...
I can't really defend him. Because again, it's in the context, how he said it.
Yeah.
He was heated.
Yeah.
And his first response was to go racial instead of basically confronting that guy one-on-one. There were 100 different ways that he could have handled that situation. But he decided he was going to go racial with it. I can't defend it.
And no, I'm not defending him, but what I think does happen is, and this is where I think the line gets drawn, if you are going to call somebody that name or that word, and and you're angry and it's done in malice, then you mean what you're saying. But if it's just a slip of the tongue, or you just say it, or you're singing about it, or if this is a prime example, you're black.
Talk about Office Space, where remember when he pulled up in the beginning of the thing?
I was gonna say, if you're black and you have white friends and they're singing a Jay-Z song or something, and the N-words, and they say the N-word, you look at them like, the hell you think you're doing? You saying them? If you like the music, you like the culture, you're singing the song. Should me as a black person say you shouldn't say that word because that's the song? No, I'm not going to jump on you about that. Enjoy the song. They put it in the song. Somebody's going to sing it. Be glad that people like your music. But what John's referring to is, I love this movie, Office Space. And it's this white guy in it. And it's the beginning of the movie. And everybody's stuck in a car. And they take, everybody slams on the brakes and then they go. And they slam on the brakes. So they're stuck in traffic. And this one guy, is in his car, and they're all going to the office, and he's singing the worst gangster music ever, and he's just going, off and get over, he's banging his head to the music, and they're dropping the N-bomb all over the place, and he's saying it, and he pulls up, or a black guy pulls up to him,
and then he winds up his window.
And he winds the window up real slow, and he turns the music down like, I don't want anybody hear me saying this. And then when the guy pulls off, then he rolls the window back, turns the music back up, and he starts singing it again. And I'm like, see, why you gotta do that? It's a funny situation, but it happens in real life that, people are like, okay, well, it's okay for them to write these songs and sing these lyrics, but if I'm white and I sing the lyrics, and all they're doing is dropping the N-bomb, all of a sudden everybody's all over me because I like the music. That to me is just, that I don't even know if I call it hypocrisy in that. I'm looking for a word, I can't think of the word right off the top of my head right now, but that to me is what's crazy about the whole thing, is that how we look at it. It's okay for us to sing about it and whatever, and people that like our music and they sing about it, then we're all over them because you can't say that. And to me that's just stupid. But yeah, that's kind of like the thing is, if you're saying in anger, more than likely you believe it. You've always been saying it, and you're trying to hit home or trying to hurt somebody with saying that word. Who else did that? Oh, Riley Cooper.
Yeah, Riley Cooper. Eagles wide receiver.
So as an Eagles wide receiver, I think this was back maybe about 10 years ago. He was at a
Kenny Chesney
concert.
Yeah, you watch him.
No, I don't know.
No, Ronnie don't do Western.
I don't do
Western songs.
No,
I like Johnny Cash.
Songs. So anyway,
Long Black Train.
He was at a concert, and I guess he got into it with some black guy. And again, you're out there, you're a public figure, and you're on a football team, and people see you, they're going to record you. And he got into his argument with a black guy, and he started dropping an N-bomb all over the place, and people were filming him. And he didn't get fired, did he?
He didn't get fired. I think they might have suspended him for a couple games, and I think
was a big thing
he had
here.
to go with what was it? What do they call that? Sensitivity training.
No, I was just saying that.
Yeah.
So that's what they sent him to.
Go through some kind of sensitivity training, and I think he missed like a couple games. The league fined him for it. Yeah, they fined him for it. But I don't know. Again, I can't defend somebody like that, because again, there's hundreds of ways that he could have went about that. If he was mad at the guy, you could attack him 100 different ways. And again, you're going to go racial.
But that brings up the point. If you're mad, you argue, and like John says, if you want to bring up that N-word as a race thing or whatever, why do you automatically jump to that word? Because you're trying to hurt that person. You feel that by calling them that word, or maybe you just always use that word to get your point across, and people don't like it, people don't like it, so you're going to use it. To me, if you're angry and you say that word, if you're a non-black person, if you say that word to a black person, you're trying to hit home. You're trying to, instinctively make that word, hit the person the way you want it to, like to make it an angry situation, is the reason why you're saying it.
So let me ask you something, not to interrupt you here, but do you think it's more that they're using it as a trigger word, like to trigger a reaction, or do you think that they're just homegrown prejudice / racist individuals?
No, I think it's very much a trigger word. I think because they realize the weight that word carries, and knowing that if you call a black person that word, to most black people, those are fighting words. You know, it's a fighting word. You're going to jump up. I don't care. You might be the most docile person ever. If somebody call you that word, you jumping up, you knocking them the hell out. That's how I think most black people feel. So yeah, I think it's done intentionally to trigger a response from the person, you know, because you know that's going to trigger a response because of the weight. Oh my God, the weight that word carries for 400 years. I mean, come on now. It's time that we let that go as a people and stop giving it so much weight and be like, okay, say the word, I don't care. If you stop caring, then maybe people will stop saying it. You know, I mean, in 2023, really, am I going to fight somebody because I get called the N-word? No, I'm not. Because I don't let, if it's a trigger, I don't let that word trigger me that way. You know, I'm figuring you just trying to be ignorant, and you may be a downright racist, and I'm not on this earth to make you be something else. You know, if you're willing to have a dialogue and discuss, you know, if you were, like John said, if you were born into that and you saw no other way out and that was the way you raised and that's all you ever known, and you want to sit down and have a conversation with a person of color to find out why that word is so triggering because you don't understand, fine, I'll have a conversation with you all day long. But if you just saying it out of hostility and yeah, well, I was raised that way and that's what we do or whatever, and you don't want to know any better, I don't have time for you. That's how I look at it. If you want to talk about it, you can talk about it. Because there's some people just really, you know, ignorant. And they don't, and when I say ignorant, I mean ignorant to the idea, and they don't understand. A lot of people don't understand, and people don't want to open themselves up to trying to make somebody understand. I guess you may say that's not my job, but to me, I'm always willing to have a conversation with somebody about something they may not understand, because all the time people don't. I mean, I've been in situations where people that I've worked with or even friends are saying, well, why is it this way? Or why is your hair this way? Or, you know, why don't you do this? And, you know, as a black person, I might sit back and say, why do I have to school you on everything? But sometimes it's okay to have that conversation with a person who don't know, because they don't know. And I'm not going to beat you up or be mad at you because you don't know, because you may not have been privy to that. You know, you may not have grown up in a situation where anybody tried to explain it to you, or maybe you just grew up always in a white world and you don't know anything outside of that. So it's okay if that's the case, but be open to learning something different and not just say, oh, well, I wasn't raised that way, so this is the way I'm going to behave. No, what?
No, because you're saying, if I'm deciphering through your conversation here, you're saying it's basically a lot of people don't know if they're different things about people's culture and stuff like that. If you call my wife the N-word, I'm gonna fuck you up. Okay, now we gotta put the little thing in there. What's that little thing on the that they always say? This video might not be appropriate for all individuals.
Well, that's on our videos anyway. But
but that's again. I grew up in a family. Some family members used that word, other ones didn't. I knew not to say that word. I've been in fights with all different color people, all different colors of people, brown, black, white. I've never used that word when I'm fighting somebody, or if I got in a fight with somebody, or if I got in an argument with somebody. You know right there, and like what Ronnie said, I will agree, some people use it as a trigger. You know when it comes out your mouth, it's not right. No matter what color you are, if you're calling somebody that in anger, you know it's not right. Don't plead ignorance, because again, You can be in a family that use that word. Don't plead ignorance because you still know it's wrong. I knew it was wrong. I had close family members that used it. I had people that were uncles and cousins that used it. I still knew it was wrong.
No, I'm not saying that people don't know the N-word is wrong to say. I'm talking about just culture in general. I mean, cultures are different. Ethnicities are different.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I have never had anybody come up to me and say, why shouldn't I say the N-word? You know, I mean, what do I always say? Learn your history. Know your history or you're bound to repeat it. You have to know your history. I'm not saying that people are doing it with the N-word. I'm just saying culture in general. If I think people had discussions about it, or if somebody was raised where that's all that they ever said, and then they come up, you know, all of a sudden they're living in a black neighborhood and, you know, maybe they're afraid or you know, they've made black friends and they say the word and then their black friends come down on them or maybe want to explain why you shouldn't say that, and they don't know. All they know is they've always said that. Some people don't want to know anything outside of their little you know, bubble.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I'm not saying that people are stupid. You know you shouldn't say it, but some people are like, well, I don't know why I shouldn't say it because that's what I was taught. When you get out, no, you're laughing, but when you get out there in the world, then like that show, it's a different world, and people are like, oh, I didn't really know. You in this day and time, you would think that people would know, but there are some people that are just so ignorant to everything, they just don't know. You know, and I know John says he don't believe it. I don't believe that people in this day and time should know or the right or wrong with saying that word. I'm just talking in behavior in general. You know, like, you know, to say, oh, well, why is your hair nappy? You know, why is your hair this way? Why don't you wash your hair every day? You know, what, you know, things like that where people are ignorant to the culture. You know, it's nothing wrong with if you want to explain that to them. You know, I have friends that say, I'm not explaining anything because I don't feel I have to explain myself to anybody. Well, you're right. And I agree with you to a certain extent. But then when people are genuinely trying to find out, it's nothing wrong with having a dialogue as to why my hair is the way that it is, why my texture is the way it is, you know, why I don't do certain things, why we don't do certain things with our hair, why our hair is different. I mean, I'm taking that along a different path, but it all goes hand in hand. So I understand where John's coming from. He, you know, John's an equal opportunity hater, so he doesn't really care. But my whole thing is, I think if everybody was just open enough to say, hey, I can have a conversation about this, have a conversation about the difficult things, because that'll make life a lot easier. You know, if you open yourself up as to why you feel that way, then maybe there just won't be so much hatred, and maybe, you know, people have a better understanding. But people don't. They want to just go down their little path and be in their own little world and do whatever they want to say, and you know, do what they want and say what they want to say.
Pretend you don't know right from wrong.
Yeah, that's true too. But
you're around a bunch of your black friends who were your friends. You get angry, you drop an N-bomb, you got a boot hanging at your ass. I can't feel sorry for you. You're a dumbass.
All right, well, so be it. Are we done with this?
We're done with this section. Let's move it along.
All right. Well, who else?
Oh, who we got? We did. What's that? Cooper Cup guy. We did.
Oh, you wanted to do Joy Behar.
No, but there was one before that.
No,
what was the one?
It was Michael Richards.
Okay, yeah, she was the last one.
The Kuiper guy, the Joy Behar thing.
Right, again, here's a disclaimer right off the bat. Me and Ronnie disagree.
We disagree on this one. We really do, because apparently Joy Behar, back in the 70s, she dressed up, and I saw the picture, it really wasn't even blackface, but she dressed up, she said, as a beautiful black woman, and this was in the 70s. And again, I saw the picture. Now, I think she was on The View saying that she put on darker makeup, but quite frankly, when I looked at the picture, and I'll see if I can insert a picture in here, I didn't really see where her face was that dark, but she looked like she may have had like an afro wig on or something like that, a shortcut or whatever. And she said she dressed up as this beautiful black woman. Now, I don't watch The View, so I don't know how people felt about that, but I know John really gave his point about how he felt. I thought that he thinks that she should have had some kind of repercussions with being on The View about that situation, her dressing up in a Halloween costume back in the 70s. And I'm like, okay, not that I'm giving her a pass or whatever, but I don't think she should be fired over something that she did back in the 70s for a Halloween costume. Now, understand what I'm saying, because I want to make this point clear. If she's on The View, and today she went out for a Halloween party and dressed up in blackface, hell yeah, I would say that she needs to come to some kind of grips or have some kind of repercussions behind that, because she's on this talk show and they're, talking about unity and all this kind of stuff. If she did that today, it would be a different story. But am I going to come at her for something she did 50 years ago at a Halloween party and say that she should be paying for that now? Not necessarily. We disagree on that. You go ahead and tell me your side of the story. He just don't like Joy Behar.
No.
But,
If Ronnie seems to see, to me, if we're going to be, and this is why we did the video, because it's either all or nothing with me. We're either going to be strict right across the board with everybody. There are no exceptions. I don't care. Let's put it this way. If I killed your cousin 20 years ago, and DNA wasn't out then, and then all the DNA testing came out and they found I killed your cousin 20 years ago or 40 years ago, should I go to jail? Or because it's 40 years ago, is everything like washed away?
See, he's using that as an example, but you're comparing apples to oranges. He actually used the example about if Hitler was found alive today in Argentina, should he pay for the crimes? Of course he should. Those were war crimes.
Right.
You can't compare that to something that somebody did supposedly blackface. I agree. Right. If everybody's gonna get laid flat for doing something like that, then everybody should. But am I faulting her today for her dressing up in a Halloween costume back in the 70s, where people really wasn't coming at people like that? Oh, well, you can dress up in blackface. Not to say that the times made it okay, but it really did. So am I saying that she should get fired from a job that she's doing today for something that she did 50 years ago when people wasn't coming at her for that? People wasn't coming at anybody for doing that, really. So how does that affect what she's doing in her job today? If she did it today with the job she had, then I would say, hell yeah, she needs to be fired, or she needs to have some kind of repercussions because of this, because that you knew back then, but nobody cared. But now it's not right to do that. If she did it now, yeah, but I'm not gonna fault her for something she did 50 years ago. I can't.
So people back, not 50, 40 years ago, people 40 years ago didn't know that it was wrong to put blackface on. They didn't think that was offensive, but they did it anyway because they figured they could get away with it, because they weren't held accountable like they are today. You can't tell me, me and Ronnie had this conversation before, because, and here's a prime example how I'm right and you're wrong. I'm going to prove this right now. Okay, so we're going to bring in Wayne as an example, because Ronnie always says, Ronnie talking about the gun story, Wayne, that you want to shoot somebody in the head. But listen to this. This is a prime example how I'm going to prove this is right. What I'm saying is right. Ronnie said to me, and I had talked to her, me and her were talking one night, and she said, and I said to her, I said, Wayne calls his son-in-law the N-word. And Ronnie's like, why does he do that? She's like, how does Chris feel about that? And I said, it doesn't seem like it bothers him. I was around him when he said it to him one day. Wayne's son-in-law is black. So I had said something to Chris, his son-in-law, and his son-in-law replied, and this is coming from a black man, and a white man calling him the N-word. He said to me, he says, John, he says, I don't even worry about it, because that's the times when he grew up. Ronnie said to me when I came back home and I told Ronnie that, Ronnie said that's no excuse. That's no excuse. Right is right and wrong is wrong. That's no excuse for Chris, who is a black man, to say that it's okay for Wayne to call him the N-word because it was at times. He grew up, they were Chris's words. He grew up in those times. Ronnie's own words make me the winner of this one because, again, you're saying the time that it was 40 years ago, they didn't know. They didn't.
No, I didn't say she didn't know. I said that nobody was saying at that time, nobody came after her at that time. Now, because it's a cancel culture, people are looking at people's past under a microscope, and every little thing that somebody does, they're like, okay, right, you did this, now you should be held accountable for it.
But why, again, people knew years ago that it wasn't right to put on blackface and dance on a stage. Why would she decide that she was going to color her skin and make herself darker on Halloween to be a black woman?
I'm not saying that she should have done it. I'm not saying what she did was right. I'm just saying that in the context of today, I'm not going to fire her for something that she did back when she was 20. I'm just not. If she did that today, then I would say, well, you know what? She has a history of doing it. Okay, well, this is the times where, people, I'm not saying that people didn't know better back then, but did people speak up? Black people weren't really coming at anybody that did stuff like that. They just felt like, oh, well, you know what? We got to take it. The minstrel shows or whatever. This is what happened, and we really not saying anything about it. What are we going to say about it? What are we going to do about it? I'm saying if she did that now, yeah, fire. But back then, I mean, I don't know what her thoughts were, why she did it. She said she wanted to go as a beautiful black woman. She should have known that you don't put makeup on your face to make yourself look that way. But the people are doing that now. I don't think, I don't see where that comes into play or that should affect her life for one picture that somebody took 50 years ago, her at a Halloween party. Now the thing with Wayne and Chris, that's his father-in-law. My whole thing was, maybe I'm being hypocritical, but I'm not going to say I'm going to give Wayne a pass because you still knew better. He still knows that word is wrong.
Like she should have known better.
But
not
Wayne
to
is
put
doing that.
On.
Wayne is doing that to get at Chris, and Chris don't care. He should know Chris don't care.
If you said that you never watched Joy Behard's show, I watched her show a couple times. I don't watch it regularly because I don't like her, but I've watched her show a couple times. That woman holds people's feet to the fire, calling them racist and everything under the sun. And then, if you want to talk about hypocritical, I don't care if it was 10 years, 20 years, 30 years, 4 years ago. You put on blackface. If you colored your skin, you put on blackface. You can't. What do you always tell me about a bull in a china shop? Bulls can't buy china in a shop. That woman is very hypocritical. On your show, when you get it, and she'll get politicians. She's had actors on there where she'll lambaste them and basically call them racist and everything under the sun. But when and I don't care whether it was 10, 20, it was racist. If you colored your skin and you went as a black person, you're wearing blackface.
So are you saying that because she did, you can call her a hypocrite. She probably shouldn't be on there, like you said, lambasting everybody that does that when she knows she did it. But you're saying you think she should be fired because of that.
I think if you call for, on her show, I've seen where she's called to cancel actors and stuff like that. She's had people on there that she's called them racist. She said almost like she's trying to cancel people when they come on her show and label them. If you're going to label people, then you better damn well make sure that you ain't got no skeletons dancing around in your closet. And that's basically to me, that's what it is. You can't have it both ways. It's like Ronnie always says. She always says to me, people always do, like, they'll do like bad things and stuff, and like you might drink and beat your wife. Oh, and that's another thing. Little Richard, he said that, I was watching a show with David Letterman. Little Richard said that God cured him of being gay. That's what he said. And then I'm sitting there thinking to myself, how does that work? And then he says to me, now I'm going to be a preacher. So to me, again, that you're basically, you want it both ways. You want to make this until it suits you to do something different. Then you go off and basically want to do something different. The same thing with her. She's here, and she's like, this person's a racist on my show. This person, we need to cancel this person. We need to cancel that person. But then when somebody finds out something you did, we should all forgive it and forget it and basically be like, it happened 40 years ago. It's okay.
Well, what I will agree to is that she should be called out for the hypocrisy. She shouldn't be on there like her hands are clear of everything if she knows that's what she's done. So, like you said, don't come on there like you have a clean slate if you know you did this. You could come on there and see, this is where it gets dicey. You could come on there and say, hey, I did this. This is what I learned from my mistakes. I shouldn't have done that, and people shouldn't be doing it now. If you want to use that as a teachable moment, fine, go ahead and use it as a teachable moment. But don't come down with other people who have done it when you know you've done it yourself. So that's being hypocritical.
And the
so
thing,
if she was on there saying, hey, I was wrong, if she's using it in that kind of context, I'm fine with that. But don't, again, use it as a teachable moment, but then don't come on there like your hands are clean and you never did it. So now you're a hypocrite. So I will agree with that. If she's on there and she hasn't come clean with why she did it, or even confessed to that being wrong of her doing that, then yeah, I really don't have anything to say about her or really care what she has to say.
But that's where I was going back with Little Richard, because he felt like people were going to look at him if he was going to, and he became, after his singing career, he was an ordained minister, but he felt like if he didn't come out and say that God cured him. To me, God loves everybody. So I don't care who you are, what you do at night, what you do in the daytime. God loves everybody. But he felt like he had to come out and say that basically for his own agenda, just like she does. She wants to say, oh, everything's good. I'm sorry. I didn't mean it. If she wasn't wrong 40 years ago, why is she apologizing today?
No, did she? I don't know.
Yeah, she did come out and apologize. But again, if she wasn't wrong 40 years ago, then why apologize? She apologized basically for the same reason that he went out and said what he did, because you're trying to basically just cover your own tracks. Everything's okay, and I'm going to do what... And she still goes off and does what she wants, because she's still trying to cancel people and holding people's feet to the fire. That's all I got to say about that. Everything else, a bunch of shit.
So I guess on that note, we're gonna end this little.
Yeah, Ronnie got on my nerves with that sticking up for that woman. That's
I
another.
wasn't sticking up for it,
that is a
John.
good thing.
I wasn't sticking up for it. What I will do is play devil's advocate a lot.
Put a link to that Kuiper guy too on the bottom of the video.
I'll try to do that. But I'm just saying that no, John knows how to push buttons, and so do I.
I don't know how to push buttons.
You push buttons.
I don't push Ronnie's buttons.
But the fact of the matter is, like I'm saying, if she's sorry about it now, or she comes on and talks about it now, how wrong it was and why you shouldn't do it, that's one thing. But to not even come clean about what she did and just faulted other people for doing it, well then no, you can't do that.
No.
You can't be a hypocrite. Can't come, like your hands are clean when they aren't clean. So yeah.
It's like this is another thing. Ronnie always talks about people that drink and stuff like that. How people are mean and stuff, and then all of a sudden when they stop drinking, everybody else is going to hell. Right? I think we had that conversation before.
What people who
People who okay.
people who have done dirt all their life and they get saved.
You've told me about family members that did what you call. Then all of a sudden they got real religious, and then, but they things that they did where they got real religious, things that they did all through their life. Then they're standing there looking down at people, basically that were doing the same thing that they were doing then.
See, I don't even want to get into the whole, when people think they get saved and all of a sudden they start their life over. To me, that's fine, but don't forget what you did. Don't forget where you came from.
Right, exactly.
There's one thing if you decide, oh, now I'm going to preach, I'm going to do this, I'm going to live my life in a certain way. That's why I don't understand like how you feel if you get saved. That just wipes everything clean. Does it wipe everything clean, or does it give you, the power to go forward,
to make changes,
right, go forward and say, this is what I did, this is where I came from, I've changed it now. Don't just say, hey, you're wrong because you do this, and you're wrong because you've done this, knowing that you've done that and you've overcome it, or you've been saved. Don't knock somebody else for doing that now, because that's where you were a year or two ago.
You go, girl.
That's what, again, hypocrisy. I can't stand that. And I don't even want to get into religious things, but this is what I know people who have done it. My dad did it, and I'm like, but you was doing all this stuff. It's one thing to say, hey, I did it. Again, teachable moments, people, where you're teaching someone else, you're letting somebody else know, hey, I was living my life this way. If you want to preach, I was living my life this way and I've overcome it. There's nothing wrong with being that way, but seeing that there's another way, another path you can go down. That's beautiful, if that's what you're trying to preach or get across to somebody. But don't think, oh, I got saved and now I don't care, everybody's wrong. I don't like that, because you know where you came from. So don't make it seem like you didn't do things. If you just want to close your eyes and be like, oh, I'm now, I did that, but now I'm a totally different person. Yeah, you're a different person, but don't forget where you came from and what you did. That does not absolve you for what you've done, even though you think it might, but it doesn't. So don't get me sorry about that.
Welcome to the Church of Ronnie.
No, because I don't necessarily...
Brought to you by our sponsor, Truly, tonight.
Talk about drinking?
Yeah.
All right, John. But you can't put that on there. What are you going to do with stuff?
I don't know.
All right, so...
We're not making money anyway. What do we care?
We're going to wrap this up. We hope that you, saw some enlightenment.
Yeah. Hopefully, Truly will send me a case for that one.
And hopefully you like it. You let us know in the comments how you feel about it, because, we have some strong opinions, both John and I, on these subjects. And we'd like to hear from you guys to see what you think and, how you feel about what we're talking about. So we just thought we'd do that. Look, it's not that quick of a video, but we thought that it was important to kind of go down that road, because again, the N-word is always going to be around, and Lord knows we could talk about it for days on end, but we did want to kind of follow up with that and see how you guys felt about it. So what do we say?
Good job, babe. You really heated me up tonight. My cheeks are warm. Oh, God bless you all.
Peace and love. And we'll see you in the next video, guys. Good night.
Good night.